Welcome back to FX Movie Download, where we are thrilled not only to be at DreamWorks Animation, but we are in the How to Train Your Dragon War Room with the film's directors, Dean DeBlois and Chris Sanders. What goes on in this room, guys?
This is really where it all comes together. We sit here and we talk about what we would be most excited about when we're, if we paid to go see the movie, what kind of images would get us excited. We start stitching those ideas together and crafting a story that makes it all work.
What are you most proud of about that movie?
I think I'm most proud of some of the sequences where we don't have a lot of dialogue or no dialogue, and we let music take over and do the talking. It's something that Dean and I learned years ago. It's like one of the best things you can do is just give the audience a rest and give the characters a rest and just really let the magic happen.
I think I'm kind of proud of some of the more daring choices we made. There's a conventional wisdom that goes with animation sometimes that can't step beyond, the immediately comfortable. And I think when you make some daring emotional choices, it pays off in a good way. And I think we were dealing with a movie that had a sense of real-world consequence and peril to it. Not to be a plot spoiler, but at the end, what we do to Hiccup is kind of, in a way, it's both endearing, but it says something about...
It's such a strong choice. Yeah, I know exactly, and we won't spoil anything, but it's amazing, and it's totally unexpected, and that's the thing. As an adult, or you can, watching, you're like, wow, I can't believe they made that choice, and as a child, it's the kind of thing that you imagine is going to really stay with you.
Well, the thing that's so interesting about this movie is that in the industry it's called like a 4-quadrant film because you appeal to men, you appeal to women, you appeal to adults, and you appeal to children. So as directors, how did you find that balance? Was it the bold choices? Was it something that you really wanted to hit on? Was there an intention for, yes, we have to make adults happy, as in an animated film?
We don't make movies for kids. I think that's a misconception. We make movies to sort of please ourselves, but the challenge is, how do you do it in such a way that you don't exclude anyone in the audience?
It helps when you don't grow up, which we try to avoid.
What is your interior age? Like, if you were to say, I am blank years old inside.
I think 7 to 9, somewhere in there.
Yeah, I think I was 11 when I saw The Empire Strikes Back. And that's when I was like, yes, movies are amazing, and I want to live in this world, and I want to recreate it, and I want to draw everything about it. And so I think my sensibilities go right back to that 11-year-old.
That's when you decided not to grow up.
Yeah.
You stopped aging at that point.
With the driver's license.
It can't get better than this, right?
Chris and Dean, thank you so much for joining us. This has been great. We're back with more FX Movie Download after this.
Welcome back to FX Movie Download. We are still at DreamWorks Animation, and we are joined again by the writer and director of How to Train Your Dragon 2, Dean DeBlois. Film opens on June 13th this year, right?
Absolutely.
Now that Vikings and dragons are friends and have been for some time, what's the new conflict? Like, who's the new enemy?
Well, by virtue of the fact that Hiccup and Toothless have been out exploring, they actually kind of cross a boundary where dragons are the enemy. And they are the enemy because there's a maniac out there, Drago Bloodfist is his name, who's building himself a dragon army so that he can essentially take over the world.
There's also another huge story reveal in How to Train Your Dragon 2, which is we get to meet Hiccup's mom, voiced by none other than Miss Cate Blanchett.
Yes, yeah. I loved the idea that Hiccup would not only discover one side of a conflict, which is the trappers that work for Drago Bloodfist and his growing dragon army, but on the other side, there is a sole human who's trying to protect them and hide them away. She's whisking dragons away to a safe harbor deep in the Arctic. And it turns out that this is Hiccup's long-lost mother, that she was abducted from Burke when he was just a baby in the cradle. And so she's been living like Diane Fossey for 20 years among dragons and becoming their protector and learning their ways.
So it was in his bloodline.
Absolutely.
It's hereditary. I love that. And what was it like working with Cate Blanchett? She's so Oscar-worthy. Come on. She's the queen. She's Elizabeth. What are you going to do?
She is my favorite actress, and I wrote the part for her. And so I saw her at the Academy Awards. I walked up to her and I just said, I wrote a part for you in How to Train Your Dragon 2, whether or not you're interested. She said, well, my boys are huge fans of the first movie, and we've watched it a bunch, and she said, send me the script. I'm not doing anything at the moment. So it was kind of perfect.
I love that you cornered Kate Blanchett at the Oscars and got her the role.
It's such a Hollywood story. It's my only Hollywood story. But
It's a good one. Dean, thank you so much. We are so excited to see How to Train Your Dragon 2 when it opens on June 13th.
Thank you.
Stay tuned for more FX Movie Download after this. How to Train Your Dragon 2 takes place 5 years later. So in that time, how has the relationship between Hiccup and Toothless evolved?
We thought, I mean, for Hiccup, you know, he's now dealing with the problems of a 19 and 20-year-old. You know, he's kind of clinging to his youth and his freedom, but back home, his father is trying to prepare him to be the next in line for chiefdom. So that's a pressure and a responsibility he's desperately hoping to avoid. And you get to see why, because we introduce Hiccup and Toothless out flying on the edge of the Viking map, you know, exploring new worlds. And
Life's good for Hiccup at this point.
absolutely. And they've been testing the limits. They are like ace flyers now. So they're developing, you know, he's developing like a wingsuit so he can even glide beside Toothless. And the idea that they are best friends, but they're also adrenaline junkies, and they're out there having as much fun as they have, like, it stands in contrast to what Stoic, his father, would rather him do, which is stay home, learn about running a village, and all of the ins and outs of you know, that. It just sounds like a dull job for Hiccup.